Hi, and welcome back to part 2. We're going to take a look at Batman Arkham Asylum. This one's for the Xbox 360 and PS3.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if it's on PC.
I don't think so, but we'll double check and then I'll put that in the description. You probably already saw our Arkham Asylum Collector's Edition unboxing, and now we're going to take a look at the game, which is really like the only reason to buy. Like, why would you buy the Collector's Edition just for the other stuff? That's kind of stupid, but some people are like that. But anyway, the game. So the Joker gets caught on purpose, goes back to Arkham Asylum, and Harley Quinn, who's looking really hot, by the way, in that, escapes and, you know, helps him escape and becomes, quote-unquote, the new warden of Arkham Asylum. So, you know, the story is actually really, really well written.
It is.
It's written by the guys who did the comic book, and you can definitely tell. There's a lot of characters from the Arkham Asylum comic book that just came out this last summer. Yep.
And before anyone starts going in about, you know, it's supposed to be modeled after this or that, the bonus content on the DVD actually says it's modeled after Batman as a whole, as a 70-year series, so it's not a comic, it's not a movie, it's everything Batman.
It's totally standalone. But it's really, really cool. Audio-wise, fantastic sound effects, and the voiceovers are definitely some of the best I've ever heard.
Brought back the majority of the actors who actually did the Batman animated series, which was the cartoon that everybody loved.
Yeah, the actors were the girl
Kevin
who plays
Conroy
for Batman,
Mark Hamill for Joker,
and the girl who plays Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
I can't remember her name.
Doesn't matter.
But they all come back from the show, and they sound amazing.
Yeah,
and for the most part, their lip syncing matches up to what they're saying. In the cutscenes, not so much, but you know, it's really not that big of a deal. You know, because everything on you know in the entire game is just basically fantastic.
Yeah, everything else was put well.
Pretty much
put together
just
very
nitpicking.
well.
I really like listening to, like, if you're crawling through the vents and stuff, you can hear Joker chiming in on the
and Joker pipes in frequently through the intercom of the prison. And it adds a lot of humor to certain situations, especially a lot of rooms where they're called predator rooms. The idea behind that is you have to sneak around and take out every individual henchman.
Yeah, because
through the room.
If they got guns, you're fucked.
You have to take them all out in order to get through the room, and Joker pipes in every minute and a half kind of deal, and he has some very typical Joker comments. Yeah, very witty. You're not sure if he's trying to help you at the time or if he's trying to help his own henchman.
And like listening to it on my TV at home in 5.1, it sounds really cool because the way they've done it, it's like his voice will pop in on whichever speaker is closest, you know, to your. So if it's on like the back left side, you'll hear it in the back left or top left or whatever.
Back right, by the way.
Nothing there, detective. Shut your face. But it's actually, it looks really, or sounds really cool, and definitely gives like the ambiance, like this really well done.
And the music is the music has a lot of actually every Batman. It's got, you know, that cartoon, that slow build up. It's got some of the, you know, bits from the movies. It's incorporated everything from Batman, which is really interesting to see. You really have to listen to hear it, though.
Yeah. It's definitely one for the audiophiles. Graphics wise, pretty solid art style. You can tell that they're definitely going way darker than anything you know, any Batman game's ever been. But it's still rated teen. There's not really a lot of blood. Well, you don't deal any blood, that's for sure. Like,
well, you deal blood, you just don't kill them.
Yeah, you're Batman. You don't kill anybody, which I mean,
unfortunately,
is all right. But you know, you're Batman. You're the good guy. The animations look unbelievable in HD. When Batman's like doing his close-up knockdowns and stuff like that, they look really cool and like super vicious. I love doing the inverted takedown and just like getting a guy and like holding him up by his neck and then just letting him go and he's dangling and shit. And then if you like jump to another one, you can whip the batarang and make him fall on another guy and double takedown. That's
the costume is the best part. Throughout the game, every major encounter you have with the villains of the game actually leaves a mark on Batman and the Batsuit, which really makes Batman look like he belongs in Arkham. He's all torn up and kind of haggard and just beat to shit. But at the same time, you can see it's taking a toll on him throughout the game. Yeah,
you really feel like Batman's having like the longest night of his life. He just wants to go fucking home and just, you know, relax. But he's got to deal with all these. Basically, every major villain he's ever captured makes an appearance.
It's Arkham Asylum, so everyone in the series is there in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and you know, finding other little, you know, quips at older characters from like the Joker stuff. By the way, the Ra's al Ghul one is one of the funniest ones I ever saw. I don't know if you saw that one in the morgue. It's so good. That one's hilarious. That one's a great riddle. So, but yeah, like the environment too is really cool. Everything
very
like
dark and very gothic, very kind of Tim Burton-ish with the dark, but gothic like the comics, which is a very interesting mix, and it works very well.
It does work really well, and especially like every environment looks like it's been used and lived in and stuff, and it's not like these like stale environments that you see in a lot of games. Even though you're going through a lot of the same corridors in the open space, it's like everything changes when you go back to it, so it's never the same way again. Which is really cool. It also keeps you on your toes.
And the gameplay,
simple to learn, hard to master. It's definitely it can be a pick up and play. Pretty simple brawler, but it has really deep complexity with like combos, multipliers, and reversals and counters and stuff like that.
It's so difficult, but so much fun. The fighting is very smooth. They go by a new tagline called the free flow combat. And that's the best name they could have given it. It is so smooth. You can jump from enemy to enemy without any awkward hiccups or pauses in, the motions.
Move the control stick. There's an achievement for getting a 40-hit combo, and I got 39 yesterday, and the guys had died, and I was so pissed off, because I don't know when that's ever going to happen again, but I was pretty pissed off. I was so close. But you really got to pay attention to, like, your entire surroundings, and there's, like, kind of a spidey sense thing that goes off on some guy's head when he's about to hit you, so there's, like, visual cues so that you're not always taking cheap shots and stuff like that.
And the detective mode is a very interesting...
It's definitely where the game shines.
It's well, you're Batman, so you're supposedly the world's greatest detective. And some of the villains like to pride themselves in attacking you, like the Riddler. He thinks you're the world's greatest detective. He's going to try and prove everyone wrong. And so this detective mode, you got to go around, find certain parts in the walls, vents, hidden things that don't stick out, but should.
And like early in the game, you have to follow a guard, but he's not there, so you basically find his flask, and you can like detect the alcohol in the air and follow his trail, which is really cool. And then later on with Gordon and his tobacco on the ground and stuff like that, super cool. However, when you're finding clues, like I'm nitpicking now because I love the game, but when you're in that sort of mode where you're like, moving around, it feels like it's really just floaty, and it's like the controls all of a sudden just went to ass, and you're just gliding all over the place. I really hate that. But it doesn't happen often enough that, it becomes a pain in the ass. So, I mean, it's really good. Detective mode is cool. The only bad part about detective mode, I would say, is that because it drapes everything in this blue, you can see through walls and like all these kind of like an X-ray vision type of thing.
It highlights pretty much any villain in the zone, so he could be 100 meters away, but he'll show up. Which is kind of a pain.
And the bad part being about that is that you'll spend a lot of your time in that mode and like miss out on all the eye candy available. But the mode is still really cool. It highlights every important part of the environment that you need to look at and investigate and stuff like that. But it just like there's so much. It's much nicer to look at these things when when you're not in detective mode. It's dark, but it's still like the graphics are fantastic.
Gorgeous to look at.
So
fantastic game. Worth every penny. I even bought the collector's edition, which comes with, as you may have seen if you watched it, some of the best packings you could ever buy, and it was definitely worth the $100.
I only bought the regular edition because I saw his and I was like, okay, if I want to look at that book, I can just borrow it off of him. But I mean, if you can still find the collector's edition, it's definitely worth the pickup. And the game itself, I mean, in this country, we got it for $40 for a period of 3 days, 23rd to 27th. So we got lucky. I mean, I ended up getting my game for free when I traded in 2 games, so... And then I put a down payment on Modern Warfare 2. But, like, there's no reason that you shouldn't be owning this game. It'll pretty much appeal to most gamers. It's just ridiculous.
Definitely
it's fantastic.
Worth buy.
100% buy.
And stay tuned for the part 3 and the final part of this episode, where we're taking a look at Shadow Complex for the Xbox Live Arcade.
Here's a bit of civil unrest I cooked up just for you.